But how does a citizen ask a question
Exactly.
of our elected officials?
Mr. Roberski, you were invited to come to the Public Services Committee meeting to have your questions answered.
What's the difference?
You said your work would not permit you to do it, so we invited you to an evening meeting to answer your questions. We didn't want to answer them individually since it was a decision made by a committee. We wanted the committee to be there to answer your question.
That's fine, Jim. I'm giving you an opportunity right now to
Come to
explain
the
the
committee
situation
meeting.
to me and to the public.
We can talk as long as you want. Come to the committee meeting. And as far as sewage in your basement, and you say nobody reached out from the city had hired an engineer from Chamlin's, Mike Perry, who's sitting right there, and Mike Perry was in your basement. So why do you say nobody reached out to you?
Mike, were you in my basement?
I didn't go physically in the basement. I went out, met with Steve, and there were actually 2
But you did meet with him.
Mike was in my neighborhood and we spoke for a few minutes. He was not there to meet me. You were meeting with my neighbor.
Met with the neighbor, and then we did talk about Steve's sewage.
We talked a little bit, but we didn't get anything resolved. That's really not the point, Jim. I'm asking a question. This situation, I mean, I'd just like to know what's going on.
It's always been city policy with transformers, to give you the simple answer. And we weren't 100% sure that it was their fault. It sure looked like their fault. The engineers said it was probably their fault.
The report back from
The reports.
ABB looks like it was their fault.
Exactly, and they made necessary corrections in their switchgear so that it never happened again.
So you're giving
James Hardy is 38% of the load for the city of Peru.
right?
Good customer. They provide you a better rate because of the power that they consume.
Not the point, Jim. Not the point.
Once again, this is public comment. It's not going to be public debate. I'm not going to have questions and answers here. You can come to the Public Service Committee meeting.
There's going to be answers at the
There's
Public
no
Services
questions
Committee?
there.
Yes, it'll be discussed in more further.
And that's very different than right now in front of the public. Answer questions. Alderman Waldorf, would you like to offer something?
That is a public meeting.
I think we answered it, and
That's a public meeting with records kept, and that's.
I've looked at the meeting minutes, I think from probably every Public Service Committee meeting. I haven't seen any discussion of this issue.
Nobody brought it up?
But something's going on.
Okay.
There are decisions being made.
Okay, is this your public comment? I'll say once again.
It is.
Is there any other public comment?
Wait a minute. Yeah, I'll say something. I was at a public services meeting and I submitted a question, and I was told I could not ask a question at a public services committee meeting by Alderman Waldorf.
Correct. That's correct.
Okay, is there any other public comment?
That's correct. No. That's correct. I was there.
Well, first I would like to thank you for this opportunity to speak here tonight. I'd like to say some of you do a good job.
Okay, your name, sir.
John McLeod, resident of Peru. As I was going to say, some of you do a good job, some of you not so well. As a member of the local media, I pay attention to things that seem wrong. I have 2 items that need to be brought to the attention of the council on behalf of the citizens of Peru and myself. This is a very critical time for some of you. It has become apparent that there are some shady things that have been going on in this government. Let me bring up what has been called the super vote. We are very familiar with the abuse of the super vote that has been going on. When you do not allow a project or whatever to go into a bidding process and you pass it without giving any competitor who may be cheaper or possibly better a shot to bid, you create a perceived thought or idea that something shady is happening under the table. It restricts free enterprise, and handing over a $3 million contract without a bidding process is fiscally irresponsible and wrong for the taxpayers of Peru. Using this method to get your way just opens the door for all kinds of corruption accusations. Can any of you up for election afford this? All of you who vote yes to a super vote are coming across to the public as corrupt Chicago-style politicians. Secondly, we have seen enough of this above the law attitude that has been going around by elected officials in this room. It is time the people of Peru take a stand as I am tonight. It appears that we have a couple snakes in the room. I left out the slippery slope part. That was just too good. Two of you helped create and voted for a city ordinance limiting the size, placement of campaign signs a couple years ago, but you think and act like you are above the law. To address Mr. Pothoff, in a sense, he thumbs his nose at the ordinance that he voted for helped create by placing numerous 4x8 signs in town, which are 32 square feet, twice the allowed size of 16 square feet. In my opinion, he either placed these signs late, knowing he would be given notice to remove them within 30 days, which conveniently falls after the election, or, in my opinion, maybe he has amnesia and can't remember the ordinance he may have voted on, and it was passed by the council. This is a very obvious case of choosing to be above the law. Mr. Waldorf seems to be able to read a tape measure and calculate square footage pretty well. However, there are places where he and Pothoff have more than one sign on a property. The ordinance limit is 1. Did anybody miss kindergarten here? Well, it's pretty easy math. In conclusion, we the citizens have had enough. It's time to clean up house in the city of Peru. We're watching you. If we have city officials who by supervote appear shady, if we have city officials who completely ignore laws and ordinances that they help create, it makes the people, myself, question your integrity as a leader. It is a sign of things to expect from you in the future and demonstrates that some of you, and possibly the rest of you, I think we know who the some of you was, lack integrity, responsibility, and trust that it takes to lead the Peru city into the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other public comment? Any other public comment this time? Any other public comments?
Yes, Your Honor. I would like to address a matter that Alderman